Hi, I'm Steve Rose. I've been a chef for 38 years, was the owner of the greenest restaurant in the entire San Francisco Bay Area, and now I'm a farmer here at Rose Ranch. We do things green around here. What sets me apart is that green is not just a buzzword like a lot of people use. Green is an operative word, and it really is easy to do. I'm going to share with you my secrets on how to do this at home. We're going to have fun, and living green, living truly green, is really a blast. I believe that people want to learn how to live this way. They just don't know how to go about it. And that's the whole purpose of the show, is to teach people how to do it. I'm going to show you the way, show you the pathway to green living. Welcome to the Organic Rose. Welcome to Casa Verde. We completed this project about 8 years ago, and it was billed as one of the greenest homes built in Sonoma and Marin counties in Northern California. It's tucked away in the Valley of the Moon, which we consider the real wine country. One of the goals of this project of Casa Verde was to use as many reclaimed materials as possible, and wherever possible. So all the doors in the house are reclaimed, all the sinks are reclaimed, whether it be kitchen or bathroom sinks, all the countertops are reclaimed, and even all the cabinets are reclaimed. Those came out of a stereo store that was going out of business, and I went in and just purchased all the cabinets. That stereo store was built to mimic someone's home. There was a kitchen, there was a bathroom, there was a dining room, a living room, that sort of thing, and how they had audiovisual applications for it. So we just bought all those cabinets, and those are now proudly in this home. Refinishing all the doors was a job, but we used VOC-free products, so they're very kind to the environment and they're kind to the people that live inside of the house. VOC means volatile organic compounds, and all the finishes that we use are void of all of those. Inside the home, the beams and the truss system came out of some warehouses that were deconstructed in Southern California, specifically Temecula. We purchased those. They came complete with patina. Those beams are at least 100 years old. A lot of the timbers, whether it be the ceiling decking, a lot of the wall studs, a lot of the uprights and that sort of stuff, all got those sort of materials were milled for us for our engineer specs from trees that had fallen down in storms in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco and in Santa Cruz, California. And it's just beautiful. All this lumber has its just built-in patina that you could never buy anywhere else. In fact, some of those trees, we purchased them in their whole form, sent them out to a mill to be cut to our specs, and then allowed to dry for a while. Then they were delivered to the job site to put into the building. Inside the walls, the insulation is manufactured from leftover jean scraps and denim materials from jean factories. It's a very effective product. In fact, it was so new I couldn't find an insulation sub to install it, so we just put it in ourselves. You can handle it without gloves, without any respiratory protection. It's just denim and cotton. It is all it is. And I tell you, that house could not be better insulated. It's an amazing product. The stairs, those were made out of a walnut tree from our property, a black walnut tree that was, the root system was pulling up the foundation of our home. So we had the tree removed, which I don't like to do, but we had to do it. It was the tree of the foundation. The rest of the tree was then milled with a portable sawmill and then sent out to cure for a couple of years, and then we went ahead and had the mill create tongue and groove flooring out of it, and that's the flooring for the stairway going up, and it's an amazing look. Do yourself a favor sometime when you have a weekend free, go to one of the salvage yards throughout the San Francisco Bay Area or wherever else you may live, and you will find thousands upon thousands upon thousands of doors or sinks or windows or cabinets. All this can be given another life. And to me, it's really important, instead of going to a box store and buying all new brand new doors and brand new cabinets and brand new windows and that sort of thing, refinish these products, make them rework. Sure, the granite countertops didn't exactly fit to the plans, but we had a granite worker come out and he made it fit. And it's beautiful. It's a little bit of mishmash, but you know what? It all works together. So do yourself a favor and just give these products another life, because it's really important. And whether it be new construction or a remodel or a rebuild, all these products can come into play. I strongly suggest that you try it out, because you will just be amazed at what you'll find. So I would definitely step out of your way a little bit, for sure step out of the box, and give these products another life. You'll enjoy it. Luke, I'm Steve.
Steve, Luke Maselli.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Where are we at? Tell us about what
We're at
standing at.
Maselli and Sons, hardware and salvage. We're in the back part in the salvage yard here, and we're in Petaluma, California.
An amazing collection of stuff. I mean, everything from anywhere in the universe. How do you collect all this?
Yeah, years and years of buying things from all sorts of businesses that go out, from recycling things. We have a whole recycling center, so we get a lot of this salvage material through that venue, and just all over, really. It's hard to place it where we get all this stuff, but it's from all over.
How long have you been in business for?
Since 1960. So my grandfather, Paul Maselli, started this business in 1960, and it was kind of based on a government surplus and salvage. And even he used to have a wrought iron workshop where they did custom wrought iron work. Turned into a whole hardware store, and then the salvage yard here. You're seeing a lot of materials throughout those years of business.
There's a lot of materials for sure.
Yeah.
And your grandfather still works here?
Oh yeah, he still does. Yeah.
How old is he?
He's 86 years old, and he comes in every day. He's always out there tying down the trucks, loading scrap, and yeah, he comes in. That's what keeps him going. So.
Wow. How's the yard organized? Because it looks like it's really super organized.
Yeah, so we section everything off. I mean, if you look around, we got signs, trailer trail, Castor Canyon. We keep everything organized, so that way when someone like you comes in and they want a particular material, it's really easy to find. And if they ask us where something is, like that pipe, we'll take them right here. And that's the best way to run this business. So we're different than a lot of salvage yards where things are just thrown in the corner. We really pride ourselves in product organization.
So let's talk about reuse. I mean, the word is used a lot. Sure. Some people mean it, some people don't mean it. What is your opinion on reuse?
Well, yeah, it's definitely a buzzword right now, I think, for some businesses, and it sometimes gets abused. But I think that the cool thing about reusing things is just the sustainability factor. So, like I said, I think we were just a green business from the beginning, and I know green before green was cool, but reusing things is taking something that pretty much is left to the wayside and finding a new purpose for it. And I think one of the coolest stories was a customer that came in here, and we had an old piano. It actually came from my grandmother's house, and we tried to, pianos are on Craigslist everywhere. You try to get rid of them, no one wants to move them. And so we said, oh, we'll take it apart. So we took this old piano apart, and my dad and I were working on it, and there was this really stubborn bolt, and there were these two big timbers, and the inside of the piano had like this harp-like shape. I don't know if you've seen the inside of the piano. Yeah. But I was frustrated because I was younger and I didn't see what I see now, and I snapped the string on it, and I was like, forget this. Why are we taking this apart? This is so much work. And I walked away from it, and I looked at it, and I said, that thing is really awesome. Like it just kind of hit me all at once. I had a little epiphany. Like, I think we should save that. My dad said, yeah, save it. Maybe someone will buy it. So I think it was a week later, an artist came in from San Francisco, and he was helping build a restaurant down in San Francisco. And he said, hey, how much for this? I gave him a price. He said, I'll take it. And so I sold it to him. I said, I wonder what he's going to use it for. So I got an email about a week or two later, and he said, hey, I want you to come down to the city. I want to show you the inside of that piano. And I said, what'd you do with it? So he sent me a picture, and he hung it on the wall, and he backlit it, and it was like such a beautiful centerpiece. And here's this piano that I was so frustrated with. And I went up there and went to see it, and I still saw that string that I snapped off there. And from that point on, really, I said, man, everything can have a new life. That was kind of an inspiration piece for me, and I saw how beautiful it looked on that wall. And I think when people are recycling things or they're tearing stuff down, they should look at materials and say, hey, maybe this could be reused, maybe this could be repurposed. Maybe instead of throwing it in the landfill, we could take this and make something out of it. Or we could take it down to a recycle center like us. And a lot of times with metals, we'll pay you by the pound for them. And if not, we'll find a way to recycle them. And at the end of the day, it benefits the future, I think, because there's less waste. And yeah, the same people that had that in the restaurant built a big tap. They had all these tap handles, 20 tap handles coming out of an old water boiler from out here. And this water boiler was in the Sears catalog. It was like one of the first water, like it's a water heater boiler. And the guy took it and he had it lined and he clear coated it, and the rust patina was shown, and they had all these beer taps coming out of it. And there's just another like design concept that it's like something you walk in there and people were like, whoa, what is that?
And that has a whole story.
He has a history that my grandfather gave him, and my dad told him about it, and they ended up buying it and using it, and it turned out to be a really awesome design piece. So those are the type of things that people need to see, especially in the recycling things, is that this stuff can be reused, and it's sustainable, and it helps the future. It helps the future generation.
It really does. I think you and your father and your grandfather are doing such a good thing for the community around you, and even the community not so much around you, like you say, coming up from the city, from San Francisco to come and buy materials and repurpose them and give them new lives. It's very commendable, for sure. Yeah. No, it's an amazing place. Tell me some of the unique items that you have in the yard that kind of stand out in your head, in your brain.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if you take a walk around here, you're going to see so many different things. I really enjoy things that you just don't see every day. So pipe's awesome. I mean, rusty pipe is a beautiful thing. It can be turned into planters. It can be turned into all kinds of things for landscape design. But if you walk to the back of the yard, you'll see things like there's a big dairy truck in the back there. There's all sorts of restaurant equipment. We even have in the way back old World War II bomb casings. So yeah.
So what were those used for?
Well, originally they were used to ship the bombs. So they have like two parts of a container. They almost look like two troughs, and they clamp together. And when they'd ship those things, they'd have to put them in there. And they're just steel casings. But that's just like some history behind the things that are out here. Those ones really stand out. But we've sold those for a variety of things. Like they're all over dairies around here. People would buy half of the casing for their cows to drink water out of, and we've also sold them for planters. A lot of people like the shape of them, so they'll plant little herb gardens and stuff like that in them.
That's pretty amazing, just to think of that at one point that material was to transport bombs for war.
Yeah.
And now they're being used for flowers and herbs and watering cattle.
Yeah, and they work real nice. They're not light gauge, they're nice heavy steel. You could probably put water in there and let it go for years and years and you wouldn't have a problem. So yeah, I think back in the day, they really built things to last. And no matter what they were building, they used real materials. So a lot of this stuff, it can hang around for a while and it still be used. It still has a future.
So what do you think the differences are between new construction, fabricating pipe today as opposed to fabricating pipe like this that was fabricated, who knows, 50, 100 years ago? I mean,
well, I think a lot of it comes down to the raw materials in the new products that are coming out. So back in the day, the United States did a lot of their own, they had a lot of their own metal recycling centers where they actually melted down steel in here domestically. Now a lot of it's going to China. And then we sell it to China, and then we buy back the products that they make out of the raw materials. The only problem is the separation of metals is a little different now. So before, the metals, the quality control of separating each metal into a category was a lot higher. And so when you had steel pipe, you would get steel iron ore, it would be pure steel pipe. Now a lot of times with the new foreign pipe coming in, you'll see cheaper materials because they don't separate the metals. You might be threading it and all of a sudden hard spot. It just doesn't work as well, and it doesn't last as long either.
Oh, so in other words, if you've got this piece of pipe on the threader and you're trying to thread it, you'll come across some imperfections on the new stuff.
Yeah. And that just comes down to the recycling side of it. So when we break down materials, we really try to separate them into each category. So if we have stainless steel and steel, copper and brass, aluminums, we try to separate them as best as we can because we know at the end of the day that's going to go into a product and that will affect the product's life.
Interesting. I know I did an episode on Lodge cookware out of back in Tennessee, so it's all made in the U.S.
Yeah.
But they're on their 6th generation right now, or just going on their 6th generation. But they started by recycling old used engine blocks,
Yeah.
and melting them down,
Yeah.
and putting them into molds to make cookware out of it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of metals, though. A lot of new products coming out are petroleum based, and a lot of them are plastic. And plastic's a lot harder to recycle. I mean, there's so much stuff in the plastic. It's a little bit toxic. With steel and metals, they can be made into something like this. When it doesn't have a purpose anymore, it gets sent away, melted down, and reused over and over again. And that's what I love about working with metals is it's really a renewable thing, and it's really a future forward-thinking thing, because these products can be reused over and over again. It's a renewable resource, and the amount of waste that goes into things today is scary for the next generation. And I think people have to start thinking about that when they buy products. You got to vote with your dollar, I think.
Yeah, for sure. What do you see for the future of Maselli and Sons?
For the future of Maselli and Sons, you know, we're always evolving and changing. So I think if you work hard at what you do, then you'll be successful. I think I'll be here, and I'll do my best. And as long as the community sees how important it is to have a yard like this and supports us, we'll be here. And we will always change with the times. Our business motto here is doing an old-fashioned business the modern way. So you go up to the front counter, we actually still handwrite tags, and that's kind of nostalgic, but we still have all the technology to keep up with new products for the hardware store, and you know, everything to keep us viable in today's market.
I'm sure you probably have your regulars, right?
Oh yeah.
And you probably have men and women that come in here just to hang out, not even necessarily buy anything. It's just like,
yeah,
let's hang out, have a cup of coffee together, and you know, talk
Exactly.
about life and that sort of thing.
yeah. People wander this yard, and as awesome as that is, it won't keep us here. But I'd love the energy of people walking around and getting ideas, because I know they'll get inspired and come back and buy something here. And yeah, we do. We have a lot of regular customers, and that's also what's really special about this place is people that have had accounts here for 50 years. And you get to see them and know them by the first name, and you shake hands, and that's a deal. And that's kind of a rare thing, you know. A lot of big box stores, you go in there, and they might have a lot of products on the floor, but they don't have really much to say about them, and they don't have much personal touch. So yeah, we really go for that here, and it's pretty awesome just knowing people that well.
I mean, especially like running into your dad or your grandfather here in the yard, and they know the history of where that piece came from, and who brought it into the yard, and what it was originally intended to be used for. And
oh, absolutely.
they know all that history, and you wouldn't find that in a big box store at all.
No, they know where they bought it, when they bought it, who they bought it from, and they probably know the guy by name. My grandfather and my dad both have really good like photographic memories. And I'm not that good, I don't think, but I think if you they've put so much of this stuff away, they put their hands on it, they're very engaged, that they know they're connected to the materials they're selling. And you know, they're not just moving materials, they put everything away, and therefore they want to know what it's about. And yeah.
Well, and if I were an artist, like my son is an artist, and if he were to come in here and buy some of this pipe, or buy some of those hand trucks, or buy some of those valves, whatever he would buy to create a sculpture, you waiting on him, or your dad or your grandfather giving him the history of those pieces, then he'll in turn share the history of that when he creates the sculpture, and say, well, these materials came from XYZ, this was used for ABC.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you have all the history behind it.
Oh yeah, everything kind of tells a story, and I think people do that. Come in here, they like to know what this was before they buy it. They like to know what it was, and then I like to know what they're gonna do with it. And when you get both those pieces of the puzzle, it's pretty cool, because you get to see, like you said, even with those bomb casings, like what they were used for this, and now they're being used for this, and that's renewing. It's a new life, and that's actually one of the coolest things to see, is when someone has a creative idea and makes it happen, and it's completely different from its original purpose. You know, the material was so purposed for this, but it got repurposed, and yeah, that to me is it's like a reincarnation for the material. Yeah.
So you have the yard, you also have a hardware store, and then I saw like a design area too?
Yeah, so that's new as of about a year ago. We call that Rust Store Salvage Design. So we take things from this yard and we turn them into finished pieces. So for the people that come in and they don't have the skills or the aptitude to do all that, then we can do that for them. We have a full shop in there. And that was kind of inspired actually by just seeing all the customers come in and build things from these materials. I would say about 5 years ago, I decided with my brothers, I got 4 brothers, to clear out that whole room. It used to be all old motors and stuff. And bearings, yeah. And so we cleared that out and we turned that into the Rust-Or Salvage Design showroom. There's a lot of beautiful functional pieces in there, all from materials out in this yard. And it's amazing what you can do. So for the people that come out here and they don't have the skills or aptitude to do something themselves, we can do that for them. Or people might walk through there and they get inspired and they come out here and do a project for themselves.
Do you have a resident artist that designs all those things, or is it just you and your brothers?
Yeah, just me and my brothers. It's totally a family operation here. And we like to keep it that way. So we take things personal. Our relationships with customers, the things we build, everything has a little bit of head, hand, and heart in everything we do here. And that's kind of what we've been known for. We're not a big box store. We engage, and it's definitely a unique experience, and we'd like to keep it that way.
I'm here with Jim Maselli. Why is Maselli's here? What is it? What purposes does it serve?
Well, it started in 1960. My father had an idea with his father, which is on the sign, M. Maselli and Sons. M is for Mike King. My dad's name is Paul. The Sons part of the sign is my dad and his brother. And actually, I'm a grandson to that. And what it comes down to is they were raised on a ranch and a farm, and they put everything to use on the ranch and farm. I mean, nothing went to waste. The rancher was actually the original green guy, so to speak. The guy that would take stuff, make it work. Maybe he was the salvage guy back in his day, but to them it was just a matter of survival and sustaining. And then my dad had the idea that let's bring in some surplus materials. Next thing you know, it grew into a 5-acre yard, and then from there to a hardware store, and it's just been evolving for 57 years. This is our 57th year this year.
Wow. Why do you do this? I mean, you could be doing anything else, right? But you chose to do this as your career, and
Yeah.
your son's careers too.
Yeah, it's kind of a roots thing. I think that when you start looking at life in general, I'm very fortunate to actually be a part of a family business. I think there's so much history. There's energy. There's a good, the bad, and the ugly too. I mean, that's part of family.
Right.
But there's adaptability. I mean, that's what family does, right? I mean, one minute you're mad at your mom, dad, brother, sister, whatever. The next minute you got to realize you're going to sit at the dinner table with them. So you got to deal with that.
At least you understand that, though. How many families that get into a beef and all of a sudden they don't talk anymore?
Yeah.
It's just life's too short for that.
It's true, and I have not had that. Fortunately for me, I've not had that experience. I've had times where in the morning it would look like my dad and I were not going to talk forever. The next thing you know, we're asking each other if we want to go to lunch, because it's just water off the duck's back for us. It's life, and I think that's what's genuine about a family-owned business is the fact that that's continuing here. When you say Maselli here. When you use the family name, somebody's going to jump out around the corner because we're on the ground. I mean, we're not in ivory towers. We're not unapproachables. We're here.
Right.
So there's a season and a life to it. And the reason I like it so much is because I've had my involvement with inside the store, building the hardware part of the store, the hardware store part. And then as I got older, I kind of graduated into the yard. I started in the yard and I'm back here. And I love the outdoors. It's got good energy, and you meet a lot of cool people. It used to be all ag oriented. Most of it was ag, and of course we have our commercial and our construction part of the side. But we kind of grew into the person that wanted to reuse and repurpose things. So from design architects, landscape architects, restaurateurs, artists, Burning Man people. I mean, all over. Most of the stuff was actually utilized in machinery or equipment. And some of the stuff is not duplicatable anymore because they're not making this kind of equipment. They're not making the big gears and the big pulleys like they used to.
I mean, I've never seen so many gears in my life.
Yeah.
And even back to the square nails.
Yeah. Yep. Everything has a use, right?
It's just an amazing place. Well, Jim, I want to thank you for
You're
letting
welcome.
us come in here and shoot,
anytime.
bring our crew in, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate what you do for the community because you're a very integral part of Sonoma County.
And you're welcome, and see, they're already calling me, but you're welcome at any time. Better answer that one. It's my wife. Anyway, you're welcome. You're welcome to come by anytime. You can bring your wine and cheese too, but just make sure you got a designated driver when you leave here.